All right, so what we're doing here is we're building the circuit on page 24 of your Arduino project book. The circuit on page 24 is, like I said before, pretty much the easiest circuit in the book, and it's just to turn on an LED. So take a few minutes, try and put all the connections together. Now what's really interesting is not all the connections have to be perfect as you see them in the book, and we'll talk about what does have to happen to make all those connections work right. So let's talk about some of those other components. So if you look, this is going to be one of the LEDs that we need. This is a red LED. Okay, and notice that one end is longer than the other. So that's the long end. And the long end is going to be the positive side. The short end is going to be the negative side. So many of the components that we deal with in like potentiometers or LEDs or transistors or capacitors, some of them have, you got to make sure that you connect everything in the correct order. So if you connect minus to minus and plus to plus, it's going to work. But if you connect them backwards, then your circuit is not going to work right. Or you could even destroy the LED. So hopefully we won't let that happen. These are the resistors that we need. Now, if you look on page 24, it looks like there's an orange colored or like a brown colored resistor in that circuit. And you might not have that precise color code in your kit. You might have another one. So there's some interesting information here about resistors. If you go to page 41, okay, so take a look at page 41. Page 41 in your book, they give you a whole bunch of information about how resistors are color-coded. Really all you need to know is at the very bottom, you can find that red-brown resistor that's in the circuit diagram on page 24. That's a 220 ohm resistor, which is what you need. Now again, you may have those, that particular color code in your kit, or you might have one of the blue ones here. So this is also a 220 ohm resistor. Now if you pick the wrong resistor, what's going to happen is you might, if the resistance is too small, you might burn out the LED. You can totally break these LEDs. It's very easy to do. And if the resistance is too big, then that light's going to be really dim or not turn on at all. So we want to make sure that we get one of these 220 ohm LED or resistors rather. They're really hard to see sometimes, but this is a red, black coded resistor. So make sure you get the right one. I think a lot of the kits do have these blue color coded ones. So make sure you find that. You can just pull that right out of the tape there to go ahead and use. So the next step, what we want to do, well, we already talked about how to tether the Arduino to the PC, so we don't need to worry about that. So the first thing I'm going to do here is untether that Arduino. Okay, again, we're going to be building a circuit here, so make sure that no power is connected. This is where the USB would be tethered, but again, that's not connected, so I want to make sure we don't electrocute ourselves. And I took the really long red wire and the really long black wire. Those are going to be how we connect power and ground, positive and negative essentially, to our circuit. So let's take a look at this. You can see the red wire is, if we kind of zoom in on this, there's my 5 volts right there. So I'm basically feeding 5 volts. Once I tether the Arduino to the USB, 5 volts is going to be running through that red cable and connecting to the breadboard there on the left. The black is connected to ground. That's essentially our negative side. Okay, so we've got positive here, positive 5 volts, and then this is ground. Or we might call it our negative side. All right, that's connected over here. Now the cool thing about the breadboard is, like we said, the breadboard is very useful to add connections and remove connections. So basically the metal connections behind this plastic front make it so that all of those holes right there are connected to the positive side, that red wire, and all these holes right here, actually, let me do that in blue, are connected to the negative side. Okay, So as you're building the circuit on page 24, I mean, you don't have to use the exact holes that they use in the diagram. You just got to make sure that what they have connected to power, you have connected to power, and it could be any one of those holes along that red line. And whatever they have connected to ground, make sure you have that connected to ground, any of those holes along that blue line. Here's the rest of the circuit. We had to add in, looks like one resistor. Okay, and one end of the resistor was connected to power. Okay, so power is connected to the resistor right there. And it looks like this cable, this pin here, like I used a green wire, looks like it's connected to ground because those pins are connected. All right. And then look at where we connected the LED with the resistor and this other green wire here. These connections are not the same. They're not in the exact same holes as they were in the book. That's okay. In addition to those big red and blue columns there, all of these holes form one connection. All of these holes form one connection, and one connection. So each of these horizontal rows there are all connected to one another. So we can see here that the resistor is connected to the LED. And again, this is the positive side of the LED. Okay, again, the resistor is connected to the positive side, and that positive side has got to be connected to positive on the LED. The resistor, it doesn't have a side, so you can just flip the resistor around. You don't have to worry about getting that in the right order. It's only the LED is what has to be in the right order. So that's the positive side, or the long leg. Here's the negative side, and that negative side is connected. That was a message from my mom on Facebook. Nope. Turn that off. Go away. Okay. So that's the finished circuit. And again, keep in mind that when you put a circuit together, it doesn't have to be in the exact same holes. In fact, there's actually a couple of typos in the book. So if you follow Project 5 just by following the image in the book, it's going to be a little bit wrong. So it's going to be a really cool exercise in making sure that we can use the breadboard. That's our very first circuit. And if you have coded it up correctly, notice I don't have power connected here because we build the circuit, don't want to electrocute ourselves. And so now, if I go ahead and, it's the same circuit. All right, so I've added power here. And once we add power, notice that our LEDs, our built-in LEDs, are going to turn on. And if you've done everything correctly, then that LED is going to turn on as well. So congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You have completed your very first circuit. We uploaded our very first program to the Arduino, and we completed our very first circuit. It's a lot of fun, especially as we start playing around with the servo motors and the DC motors and the transistors and some of the other components that are in the kit. You're just going to come up with a ton of really cool stuff that you can do with this. So it's going to be a fun time. For your homework, Project 2, Project 3, Project 5, you're going to need to complete all of those for Thursday's class. Okay, we're still going to hold class on Thursday. It is going to be remotely. I'll be watching Canvas to find out all of those details. And until then, good luck and have fun.